Hello, I have a question for you expert people. Full disclaimer, I'm really not an expert by any means, quite a beginner at these things, but decided to embark on the job, as you can see, of disassembling my lower unit for my Johnson engine. This is the one, it's 1979 model Johnson 55. I'll post the model number. So a few questions I had about the carburetor. So firstly, when I disassembled the carburetor, I decided to take the carburetor off anyway. I had a few issues with the boat last summer, where one time was particularly bad, where the boat was going full speed and it just kind of was just going along and it went and it slowly died and then just cut out, and I just got left stranded. Had to get a tow back, and after a few hours it actually started up okay after that, but I was a bit paranoid. So I decided, whilst I was doing all this, I've taken the starter motor out and a bunch of other stuff, as you can see. I decided I'd take out the carburetors, and there's two of them in my motor. I noticed, firstly, that the clip here, this little metal clip that basically, from what I understand, holds the needle, if I lift up, holds that little needle to the metal float, or metal part of the float. Which makes sense, and I guess that's how it's supposed to be, to basically move along as the float goes up and down and open that valve, whatever it is under there. However, both clips were missing when I took the carburetors off, and I'm pretty certain they didn't fly out. That would be maybe my first assumption, but I was really careful when I took these parts out. I was sitting down and I would have noticed it, if not, once. It would be very unusual for me to not have noticed both of them. Both of them were missing. Just were nowhere to be seen. In addition, I noticed that there was some, and I'm not sure if this is relevant or if this is a complete wild goose chase, but, and let's see if I can hold this up for the light. In the sort of, what do you call it, bottom basin cup thing, whatever you call that. There was tons of little scratches in there, which look suspiciously like something's been rattling around in there, which could quite possibly be the clip, because I guess, yeah, this is going on here, so I guess the clip would be, I think, yeah, the clip's going to be exposed in there, I guess. So if the clip had fallen off, that might explain why there's these little scratches, and God knows where it ended up. I mean, maybe it just kind of, geez, I guess went down there somewhat, which is a tiny bit worrying as well. So yeah, on the other one as well, I was going to put this back. I'm being quite careful not to model these two carburetors up because they're supposedly unique, so trying to keep them separate. This one, there's a little bit of scratching. You can see there, actually, just down at the bottom, there's a similar scratching kind of pattern there. There's little half circles. That to me would suggest maybe they've both come off. So a few questions I had around that, if anyone could be so kind to shine some light on this for someone who knows not a lot about how carburetors work. Firstly, what would happen to the boat if this pin was completely missing on one or both? Would it be like catastrophic, like the boat wouldn't even start, or would it work but there'll be some kind of weird effect? I'm curious to know how bad that would be, because from what I can see, the boat did not have that, and I had been driving it. So I'm curious to know, and I've been driving it, and I'd started it several times and driven it after I had that problem as well, that I mentioned. So what would be the effect of that? Would that be kind of a major no-go, or would that be something that would be a bit less obvious to notice? And I suppose the other question is, I guess this is supposed to have a clip in it. For some strange reason, it doesn't show up in the actual original parts manual. This is a photocopy I made of that, so I don't get it dirty. And where is it? Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the totally wrong thing. That's the lower unit. This is the carburetor, and you'll see in there, or if I find, yeah, there you go. You've got part 28. Doesn't mention a clip. And if you go down to 28, that says that's a washer float valve. Hang on, 27 is the whole. Sorry, 27 is the whole thing. So 27 is the float valve and seat assembly. So I've just kind of assumed now that that's missing because a part of the assembly, it just doesn't include that because it's too small a thing. It's kind of unusual, so it's kind of an important thing, I would guess. But so I suppose like it'd be good to know for sure this is definitely supposed to be here, right? Because it came in my replacement set, and everything I've seen online, I've watched quite a few videos of people installing, particularly even Johnson engines, and they all have this clip. So I'm pretty certain this clip's supposed to be there. So I think that's basically kind of my questions, like what's the effect of not having these? Oh, the one last question was also, I'm a bit worried the fact this has come off in the first place, so not just one carburetor, but both of them. That's kind of concerning, right? I mean, is this a common thing to happen? I noticed the clip on some of the ones I watched on YouTube. It's very hard to see on the video, but the bit you can just about see there, the bit that loops around the needle, it was very, let's see if I can get a shot of it here. No, it's a bit hard to see. You can just about see there. There's a little bit of slack where it hooks around the needle. So I would like that to have been a bit tighter. To give me the confidence that's not going to slip off, like apparently it may have done. So on YouTube, when I've kind of looked at this, the clips I've seen tend to be a little bit more like wrapped around. So I was tempted, I resisted the urge to do it because I didn't want to damage this thing without asking someone who knows more than I do. But I was tempted to use some pliers or something to kind of try and wrap that around the actual bottom needle a little bit more just to secure it. And then I was thinking, is there any kind of insider tip here? I'm guessing you can't really use any kind of glue or sealant or stuff because that would just kind of gook up the whole operation. That sounds like a bad idea. So, so I don't know, is there some kind of tip that I'm missing here to how to make these things not fall off? And has anyone got any ideas why that might have come off? There is a small chance that the last guy who did quite a lot of DIY on the boat himself, forgot to put the clip on. It could well be that he looked at the parts here and didn't realise that there was supposed to be a clip. Like I actually had made that assumption incorrectly as well due to the missing clip in the photo. So it could well be that. And so to answer that, to know if that was the case or an option, I need to know what would happen if there were no clips for like years. We're talking two, three years. Because that would be when he last sort of serviced that or opened up that engine. So if the kind of the answer to that is that it would be really noticeable, the boat wouldn't start or do something sort of catastrophic, then it's probably unlikely, and more likely the thing has fallen off. So that was my reason for kind of asking if someone could shed some light on kind of what the effect of not having that clip, so essentially not being able to open and close that little needle there. Yeah, I'll leave the video there because I'm rambling on now, but thanks a lot for everybody's help.